Sweat Equity Podcast and Streaming Show, the #1 comedy business podcast in the world. Pragmatic.
I like it when you do it yourself.
Pragmatic entrepreneurial advice with dick jokes. That other voice you're hearing is Eric Redinger. I am Law Smith. We've got Damian Alpizar as our guest. Friend of the program coming back as a guest. Hey, we are 2020's best small medium enterprise business advisory podcast in the United States from Lux Global Excellence Awards, proudly hosted by Lux Life Magazine. This episode is brought to you by ExpressVPN. Try expressvpn.com/sweat. Like Keith Sweat. The nicotine gum is getting to me.
Good.
I'm feeling saucy. Get 3 months free with our promo code URL. Try expressvpn.com/sweat. Like Keith Sweat gets you 3 months free off an annual plan. What's a VPN, you say? It's a virtual private network. You can log into other countries if you're someone on the road, or you don't want to be tracked. You want anonymized web browsing. Look, going incognito in Chrome, it don't do what you think it does.
Trust us.
Try expressvpn.com/sweat. Get you 3 months free off an annual plan. You want to watch Netflix in other countries? Try expressvpn.com/sweat.
Because that's what it's for.
Get you 3 months free. Grasshopper business phone line. Try grasshopper.com/sweat. If you got a side hustle, you've got another, you got your side gig, you've got your second job, you got another brand that needs a phone number, don't have it go to Google Voice, don't have it go to your cell phone and go, hello. Try grasshopper.com/sweat. Gets you $75 off an annual plan. That's trygrasshopper.com/sweat, like Keith Sweat or Sweat Equity. Gets you 75 bones off an annual plan. And lastly, Warby Parker, warbyparkertrial.com/sweat, like Keith Sweat, like Sweat Equity. Gets you 5 free pairs to try on at home, to go on your fat face like mine. If they don't work, send them all back. Get prescription eyeglasses, sunglass wear, warbyparkertrial.com/sweat. 5 free pairs to try on at home. It helps this show out. It's going to help you see all the time. Let's get this party started.
What about my
Johnny!
Sweat equity. Sweat equity. My sweat equity. My sweat equity. Sweat equity. What about my sweat equity?
Damian, where do we send people? Because I'm trying to get on a website. What's your website, or we can? What's your call to action?
Yeah, well, normally I would send people over to 2awaymonkeys.com, but actually most people have been following me on social now. So Mr. Creative Freedom on Instagram and just Damian Alpizar on Instagram or Facebook. I'm trying to build my brand as my name now.
Sure,
just Damian Alpizar, the guy.
Well, when we had offices across from each other for years, like 4 years, something like that, it was one of those things where everything was coming through you anyway.
Yeah. And
you had your our buddy, friend of the program, Hector, that was your business partner. He had to go off and kind of do something else. I don't know what he's doing now.
He's doing programming right now, actually.
So he wanted to learn. He wanted to get in a corporate gig. As I recall, God, that website looks good. Who made that for you?
Oh, someone who understands design and UI.
2awaymonkeys.com if you want to check out some of Damian's work, but also some of our work. No big deal.
I see.
Web work, but.
Fucking thing sucks.
As I saw it, you were kind of, everything was going through you anyway. So why not brand yourself? Work on your personal brand as your business brand.
Yeah, well, especially since I'm doing some transitions in how I diversify my income. It's time to, make Damian Alpizar a brand as well. So 208 is recognized, it's got its thing.
Yeah.
And now it's time to build up the Damian Alpizar brand. But I will say this, guys, being back on this podcast and seeing how you guys rocked that whole intro, I was impressed. I mean, you were like on the DJing with the music and the ads.
I was totally live mixing that whole thing. Nobody's ever even heard that before. Until
my
just
nipples
now.
got hard just watching.
Yeah,
it.
they are hard.
I feel you
too.
watching us.
Yeah,
as
I was like, wow.
Yeah.
Yeah, we got to do a little breakdown. We still try to keep the episodes short, so it's kind of like We try to keep them around 33 minutes because someone 3 years ago told us that.
Right, and we're not changing that. We're not going to look up why, and we're not going to argue with it.
That's the optimal business podcast episode.
That's it.
Whatever, but
no, I'm just saying. I just can't. I remember when it used to take like literally an hour and a half to get the thing going.
Oh yeah.
Dad cursing.
I literally told my wife, I'm like, I'll be back in 4.5 hours. It's gonna take an hour to figure out everything.
Plus, it'd be silly time too, because it's like it'd be after hours. It's like let's do the podcast, and then just like I definitely wanted to get back a little bit back to if you need to smoke, you need to drink, whatever you need to do to calm you down to get on the mic. That's fine. You never needed that, but some people would be like, I need to take a shot of whiskey.
Right.
Okay. Yeah. It's not that high pressure.
People when they hear live and they hear podcasts and stuff like that, they're like, what am I going to talk about for 30 minutes? I'm like, trust me, you talk a lot during the day. You'll be fine.
Right.
Yeah, and we're not going to ask Jeopardy questions. It's not like we're going to be like, all right, let's see.
Let's go through your bank statements.
Hey, let's bust out Trivial Pursuit and see how good you are.
Right.
By the way, always sucked at Trivial Pursuit.
I totally believe that.
You get the sports part, and you're like, I got this shit. And it'd be like, what track and field star from the 1980? And you're like, what?
That's not sports, though.
That's not real sports. Ask me about Joe Theismann. I know that. But like, so how many? If you had a Wikipedia up, you might. How many delegated names would you have? How many delegations would you have? Director, producer, video editor, animator. Lover,
obviously,
hugger. How many titles could you carry? I guess.
Oh man, it's the bane of any.
I mean, this is why you would brand yourself, right?
Right. Yeah. I guess it's the bane of any entrepreneur or small business owner. I mean, you're going to be marketer, CEO. Sometimes, obviously, not web developer. I left that to you guys, but
you left it,
yeah,
because it is not changed.
Guess what? When I did not have you guys next to me, I was like, "Yep," and that's what 2
They're a living document. They're a living document.
Memorialize it. That's the one.
It is. There it is. But no, yeah, you end up wearing a lot of hats and producer, director, writer, blah 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 blah. But ultimately,
blah blah blah, a lot of stuff. Buddy.
Yeah, you can't blah blah blah.
Well, I mean, that's the interesting stuff.
Well, what ends up happening is that you end up I think creative, either creative director and or just a creative mind is really what I like to brand myself as, because when we end up doing a production or a video or something like that, most of the times people come to us with like, hey, I got this cup. Can you make this cup cool? And then it's like, okay.
Do you even have a jock strap?
Yeah. So you got to sit there and you got to go, okay, well, it's a cup. Well, what's cool about the cup? So you end up doing a little bit of investigative reporting and with the guy and with the brand and trying to find out what's cool about it. Then you end up trying to come up with ideas, and you write the script, and then you shoot it, and then you direct, and then you do it. So you end up doing a lot of things. And that's where I was just realized, I'm like, man, you know what? Sometimes it's just the idea, where if you don't have the jumping off point. So that's really what I've been branding. That's why I started, gravitating more towards, Damian Alpizar, in the sense of like, I do this for other companies now, where I turn around and I literally, they hire me for the idea.
And you have resources now. You have a lot of independent contractors now that, look, a lot of the job for you should be, production manager or whatever right. The title is, director of the production, because that's really the key of a lot of, at least scripted stuff that anything involving humans. I mean, you've done a lot of product stuff. I don't know if you're still doing any of that, like mentioning the cup. I was just thinking, what's more fulfilling, doing product kind of creative video, or in that kind of creative, or humans, non-production or non-human production, or human production? I'd say because there's a big difference.
There's a big difference. I think obviously I'm leaning more and more towards things that have to do with more human interaction.
Yeah.
This last year actually has been very interesting, and we're talking because I'm going to date stamp this. We're in 2021, but the 2020 has made it very interesting because everything's had to go virtual, and a lot of things have had to move. So if you're trying to demonstrate a lifestyle of a product, how do you do that in a situation where you're not allowed to even band together? You know what I mean? So it became very interesting how to pull those things off. I prefer to obviously deal with humans and tell narratives and tell stories. I think that's what sells us on things, is the lifestyle. People look they'll look at the product, and everybody and their mother now can make a decent product shot at their home. But it's like, well, what's the lifestyle with this product, or what's that look like when I'm using it, and what are the Google reviews, and what are all the other elements that help me sell this product? So even though I'm working a lot more with narratives and things like that, it's still, at the end of the day, we're in marketing and we're selling products and we're selling services. And at the end of the day, it's still going to boil down to the product is centered, and then the people around it and what they're doing becomes a story. So it's product and story, and that's what's really making the sale.
Yeah, I mean,
So it's both. Even when it's a product, you're still working with humans.
We did not answer the question.
Everything is a story. I mean,
Right.
the answer is I like working with people. I don't like working with just products. I like working with people. There.
See, my thing is like, I'd prefer the product just because I don't want to deal with people.
Yeah, but to make it good, you need people.
Yeah,
if you have a
but
product
see,
and you
we
can't
just
relate
watched-
it to how it's
we gotta-
used in the real world,
We
then-
need to show him the Joel Osteen cube.
Oh, okay.
You know who does a great job is Apple.
Joel Osteen?
Apple does a great job of just showing you a product and selling you on a cool product without, because they just show you like really cool, sleek versions of the product. Alienware does that too. There's some people that really do show awesome products, but I prefer now working with like the Matthew McConaughey on a car. And
Sure.
I prefer that now.
Yeah, me too.
Yeah, one seasoned actor that you can just probably throw whatever at him and be like, got it.
Yeah.
Times the flat
Done.
circle. Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. Sure. And we're seeing a lot more integration of, we need to show you this Joel Osteen inspiration cube. Have you heard of this?
Y'all can get rid of your Alexas because Joel Osteen has his own little thing.
It's a $40 cube you
Nope.
pay for. And Joel Osteen will give you some inspiration.
Huh.
I don't have the screen share set up, so we're the only ones who are going to be able to watch it. But
Well, can you, as long as we can pick it up on the mic, maybe.
Yeah, well, we'll see. Here we go.
I want you
In
to
today's uncertain times, life can feel overwhelming and leave you struggling for answers.
Stock footage.
But you can overcome life's challenges. Wake up every morning inspired and looking forward to each day. Introducing the Inspiration Cube, the easy-to-use portable audio system filled with life-changing messages of hope, guidance, and strength from Joel Osteen, one of the world's most inspiring spiritual
Dickhead.
leaders.
You may feel today like you're trapped. That is not how your story ends. Some dreams are waking up, hope is waking up, abundance is waking up.
With the simple push of a button, remove those negative thoughts with a new message to inspire your day.
God is saying to you, you have struggled long enough.
can we pause this for just a
Unexpected
second?
blessings are coming your way.
Over
I
four
know you
Because
love
this
this.
thing.
I want to hear you about the product.
First
side
and
of it.
foremost, already it's too long. I
What?
would have
Wait,
clicked
what?
off.
No.
Sorry.
I'd watch a movie of this.
I would click.
Starring
My audience
the
would have
Joel
clicked off of
Osteen
this
Cube.
immediately.
So it's on their website. I don't know if it's a commercial. It's on their website and a Vimeo. I think.
How long is that? Just to show me the length.
That's about 2 minutes.
And we're at what?
48 seconds, and you're over
it
it.
lost me at
Rough.
15 seconds.
Yeah.
I gave it an extra 30 just for courtesy.
For the crowd they're hitting, though.
The problem is I can YouTube him and get all his inspirational bits because people have already made montages.
Yeah,
of his
but
bits.
they're not in a cube, though.
Oh, and you haven't seen the uses
Did
yet.
you see the display that it has from the
I
$1980s?
haven't seen the uses because
It looks like a label maker.
it does look like a label maker.
Yeah,
It looks like
like a kitchen timer or something.
yeah, it does. I honestly.
Anybody listening?
here's the beautiful part
Google
about it.
Joel Osteen inspiration cube.
Yeah, here's the beautiful part about it. If had I been given the product, I would have also had to come up with something creative and not dish on the product. You have to love the product. Even if you don't like it or believe in it, you have to love it.
Done.
Like your kids.
Yeah, you got to make it awesome, right? But
You have to tell everybody you love them, just like your kids.
My struggle and the thing that they did not touch on, and which I pointed out immediately, was, why don't I just go on YouTube and get a montage of his sayings? Now, had they said, get inspirational quotes never heard on YouTube or any place else, and get some exclusive feeds or live feeds through the cube, if they would have put that in the beginning, something that says this is exclusive, then it would have piqued my interest, because otherwise, this is just a playback device.
You need an attention getter of value adds up front.
You do.
But what you're saying is we saw a lot of stock footage of different kinds of people, different ethnicities.
Yeah, very important.
Here's what we can take away from this. If you ever have to edit video in a similar fashion and you don't have a lot to work with, you can do a lot with stock footage.
Yeah.
You totally can.
I mean, although this looks like an SNL parody commercial, with even the voiceover sounds like a comic.
Sure.
Like trying to do an impersonation of a narrator. but voiceover guy, but over 400 of the greatest inspirations ever assembled.
Yeah. Does that sentence even make sense?
Doesn't matter.
But it also
inspirational.
It concerns me that only 400 inspirations. I mean, back in the day, a Zune would have thousands of songs.
Right.
So how can it only have 400?
Well, let's see.
How big is this hard drive?
This guy needs to speak a little bit more.
Okay, well, let's find out.
100 of Joel's greatest inspirations ever assembled, all on this easy-to-use audio listening cube.
It's all positive.
Also,
it's not
it's not a
negative.
cube.
Our
Tom
lives have
Morris
changed
likes it.
completely.
Start each day with
You
just
like-
a touch and sit back for a powerful message of hope, guidance, and inspiration.
The forces that are for you are greater than the forces that are against you.
It makes you really energized. God is
Diane
in
Morris.
control of your life. And boy, have I seen
means it
blessings. He
electrocutes
put the
you.
hope in my heart.
Refuse the negative thoughts that prevent you from reaching your goals and take back control.
You can't think negative.
Their testimonials were from a husband and wife.
I would have loved this even more so if it was one of those pull string dolls of him
Yes.
with 400 pull string
Right.
variations.
It would be as cubic as their cube is.
It would be cuter. Now your kids can pull on a string and get an inspirational quote.
Yeah.
You cannot think negative thoughts and have a
Negative
positive
thoughts
life.
and live a positive life. If you get your mind going in the right direction, your life will go in the right direction.
It was
Oh, must
almost
be
like
easy,
a friend
Joel.
was speaking to me. I'm at peace. My victory's already accounted for.
The
guy's
Inspiration
Hispanic.
Cube, filled with the best of the best from Joel Osteen for the ultimate collection of the most powerful daily inspirations ever assembled.
What God has in your future is much more than you've imagined.
Challenge yourself today to be the best of you tomorrow.
Got a black chick at the end. Good job.
That was a throw-in for sure. They were
Yeah,
like,
like
we need
businessy black chick with like a cool
think there was
haircut.
any-
First and foremost, I have to tell your audience that, guys, I'm sorry you had to listen to a minute and a half of that. How long was it?
Doesn't
2
matter.
minutes.
2 minutes.
You're still shitting on it.
Minute and a half.
But and don't get me wrong, his inspirational.
This is where the
sayings
show
were good.
should be going. We should just find businesses we want to shit on and just watch videos of them and just shit on.
We got a list.
I got-
a starter list.
Yeah.
I'll say that his inspirational quotes sound very inspirational and they sound great, but this product is one of those that I'm like, it would be a tough sell. It would be a real tough sell.
No kidding.
I bet it's crushing.
In his audience, oh yeah, his audience is eating it alive.
Oh yeah,
Blue hairs.
$40 a piece.
But then again, he doesn't have to sell to anybody else. Really, he's not selling to us. He's
Oh,
selling
yeah.
to his own
Oh,
audience.
yeah, for sure. It's definitely, he's got, I mean, the sweeping shots of him on stage in an arena,
Yeah.
a church arena.
What do
Yeah.
you sell? 10% of that?
The same one they wouldn't open up for hurricane victims, right?
Well, what's he supposed to do? When it
You didn't want his
floods,
seats
when
to
it
get
floods in
wet?
Texas, do you want? You can't.
Yeah.
You can't bring in your.
Bring us
meek-
your. Don't bring us anybody. Just if you're cold and you have no home and you're all wet, go somewhere else. Not the church for sure.
That's for the church people.
15,000 people it holds or whatever it is. Obscene. Ugh.
Shelter in a church.
Joel
Man, I've never heard of
Osteen.
that in any church shelter ever. I mean, that's
Really?
of course, I've heard of it.
Oh, I was like, huh?
Right. Like, dude, like, that's church day one. You have to. That's part of the gimmick. You don't have to pay taxes, but you got to let, people in whenever they want.
You don't have to do anything. That's the silly part. I mean, you could be a church. John Oliver did it on his show on HBO. He made it a church to show how crazy it is. You just have to be a place of the credentials are very, very low. It's like you have to be a place of worship once a week. I even thought about this when I had the old office.
You did.
I know. I know.
Because it was like, man, it'd be awesome because then you could get away with just
The harem.
Yeah, but I mean, like the tax incentive alone is awesome. If you ever got to the part where it meant, like, if you made a lot of money.
If you actually made money.
So this is what we're teaching on Sweat Equity now is how to turn your business into a church so you can get away with taxes.
Well, why
Tax
not?
breaks.
Why not? Everybody's trying to figure out how to save as much money. Like being an S corp tax filing status. What are you doing? I mean,
We were just talking about this, was it yesterday? About how it's all a gimmick. Like, it's so annoying that to pay your taxes is such a game of well, if you have a business, you run it through your business. And then it's like this whole stupid, where it's just can't you just tell me how much I owe you?
Yeah,
Just tell me how much it is. God.
my car is expensed because I use it for business purposes
Right.
only, and technically everything I do is business worthy.
Right.
When you're a consultant,
Yeah.
so it's like that's the business car.
That is.
Yeah, it's weird, and the people who could enact change to make the taxes easier are the people who benefit from it being confusing.
Right.
Right.
Like lawyers.
Well, that's why.
Sure.
I just told my sister that whole thing because she's a traveling nurse. Actually, she's a hazard traveling nurse for the whole COVID thing, and she's in another state. And I was like, you write off your car, your apartment, and everything because your primary residence is here in Florida, so all that you get to write off. She's like, really? I'm like, you're spending and you're paying for rent to work remote as a hazard contractor. Yes. Write that off.
Yeah, there's a lot of stuff that people don't even realize. You don't even have to have a business to be able to still get a break on things if you're spending it for your job, uniforms, whatnot, that sort of thing.
So in other words,
it's not as much, but
sleep with a CPA, guys. Get a CPA in your life.
Yeah, just think of Shawshank Redemption, where he's like doing everybody's taxes, and he's like, "You bought this gun on your own?" He's like, "Yeah, and the holster too." Like, that's a write-off. That's what I think about when I think about like if you're just a working stiff. Not doing anything entrepreneurial, or you're doing that as a day job, and you're someone that's listening to try to do something that is entrepreneurial. That day job, you can still cut a lot of expenses and stuff like that. You can't do meals and entertainment, or you can just do meals. I think that was the big one they cut.
Yeah, you can do meals because the IRS just basically said you've got to eat to live, and people were writing off everything from breakfast till dinner and happy hour. So. They're like, yeah, look, out of all these meals, some of this you have to eat to live. So we're not going to write everything off. But
they cut entertainment then, I think.
Entertainment.
Like if I got you tickets to a football game and it was to woo you as a client, I don't think you can write that off anymore.
I have to look that up. But then again, I've never bought anyone football tickets to anywhere. Sorry, guys.
Yeah.
If I bought you tickets to Joel Osteen and he came in town and I was like, dude, I got front row seats. You're gonna be inspired, dude. They're giving out free cubes.
I would try to sell them on how to do social ads. They have to be shorter.
Right. Yeah.
I would use that opportunity
in front of Joel.
in
his ivory castle.
I wonder. I want to look up how many of those have sold.
I tried.
no good.
You can get that information. Come on.
Joel, listen. If you're listening to this podcast, reach out to us.
He is definitely listening to this podcast.
If you can get past the F-bombs, I'm sure somebody at some point listens to this podcast and says, "Hey, man, I know Joel."
Yeah, it's definitely that.
Help him with the social ads.
What F-bombs? Fraud? Yeah.
Fucking thing sucks.
Comedy. So in the COVID era, you had to pivot, which is my least favorite word now, but you had to pivot to become kind of everything by Zoom, right?
Yes.
You had to become what people don't realize is, Zoom's been around for a while. People are acting like this shit is new, and they're like, hey, we don't have to do as many meetings in person. And you're like, we never did.
Right.
So everybody under the age of 40 is like we could have always done this. We didn't ever have to show up for like 75% of all meetings. And so I love all the reports that are coming out like, oh, offices are cutting costs because they don't need as much space. You didn't need it. So sometimes you need something like this to go, oh shit, yeah, I knew it, but now we're going to be a little bit leaner. But the other part is everybody has to be a better project manager. And that could be their own job because they're working from home, which I'd suck at. I got the ADHD where I'll be like, all right, I'm going to do some laundry and I'll get back on the computer. And I'll find too many little things to do. I need I'm at the office, I'm here. I'm going to
go bother Eric.
I'm going to go bother Eric in his office now. Well, I call that work.
Actually, yeah, we can get
I call that inspiration.
Morning cheer, whatever you want to call it.
So your ADHD is a little bit more under control in an office environment.
Well, it's just I don't know, for whatever reason, it compartmentalizes for me. That's why I love to have it. Like a lot of people are like, you have a digital agency. Why would you have an office? I'm like, because I need something separate from my house because there's always something to do.
Well, this is the same thing as if you got weights, why go to the gym? People sometimes need that separation. Like, this is where I'm working out at, and this is where I'm relaxing at. So some people need that separation.
I've got shake weights at home, but sometimes
wore them out.
Need
The weights cannot be shooken anymore.
Broken.
Forearms got huge, just from the shake weights, nothing else.
Yeah.
But what have you found in the last? I guess it's been about a year since this really broke in the U.S. Of how you've had to change a lot of video production, a lot of, design, or, animation production, any of that.
Well, I mean, one of the main things that, believe it or not, I used to not come face to face with my clients a lot. They were always through email. And now, because everyone's jumped on the whole video conferencing thing, I actually meet more of my clients over the internet now than I ever did before.
Right.
Consulting and the initial creative is a little bit more collaborative with the client because they're now comfortable sitting at their home, and they're all have accepted that I could be in just sweatpants and a t-shirt and say, hey, they don't judge me because I'm not in a suit. They don't judge me because of if you're watching this on the video, you could tell. But if you're just listening, I have locks. You know what I mean? And that's not normally a judgmental thing so much today.
For
Not
white
so much
people.
anymore.
Yeah,
For white people, still, yes.
not so much anymore. But at the same time, though, I always had to pair up my
Think
locks
Steven
with
Jackson, running back.
yeah, something like that. You know,
Same exact body too.
oh yeah,
Yeah. 5'10", 5'11".
from the neck up. But the point is that I'd always have to dress it up a little bit with a dress shirt and things of that nature. And people with in the creative field, they tend to look a little bit more artistic. But you're the CEO, so you end up having to dress it up a little bit more. And now people are just accepting me in literally in a t-shirt and some jogging pants, and I could actually not even have the pants on, have a full creative meeting, close the deal, and call it a day. But from operations standpoint, yes, project management has become vital. Your naming conventions, how you set things up for your remote artists, because everyone's now remote, so you now have to be very detailed. Whereas before, you can actually have a conversation. You can say, "Hey, let's do this, let's do that." So now you have to be a lot more detailed, a lot more specific. Make sure that your project is not just organized for this particular project, but you have to really think about, another artist might pick this up and they might be in a completely different country. Because that's another thing too. I work with artists now from around the world as opposed to just local artists. So now, if an artist worked on a project and he's in Brazil, and then the client comes back 3 or 4 months later, that artist might not be available. So another artist in Europe might have to pick it up. And so all the assets have to be managed in a way that it's easy so that anybody can get access to it and anyone can work it, but still secure enough that you're not just leaving people's stuff out there on the cloud so they can just, grab it whenever. So there's been some security things that had to go into play, but I think a lot of it's actually benefited my company.
Oh yeah, I mean, you were going that way before this anyway, a little bit. I think it's one of those things that kind of takes something where it's that necessity breeds innovation kind of thing, where because you got no other choice but to really hone that skill, you're going to hone it, and you're wanting to anyway.
Yeah, well, I mean, like I said, my government cohorts, they came over to me and they told me what was going to happen and was going to go down. So I went ahead and I started, my insiders, I started shutting that down early.
Thanks for letting us know.
Yeah, he didn't tell us.
Yeah, well, they told me a penalty of death. I couldn't tell anybody, so I had to do what I had to do.
Yeah, but the other penalty was death on the other side.
But
as
what
far as
about
we
us
knew.
killing you for not telling us?
Look, I got it. You want me to spit in your mouth?
Yeah. Hey, if you would have earlier, I would have probably told you. The point is that you kept refusing
I'll be
to
quiet
spit
for
in
a
my
minute.
mouth.
Let's think about that.
That's how I can pass it, right?
Yeah. The point is that, for my type of business, especially since we do a lot of post-production, use of stock footage was helpful, and use of working with clients remotely was helpful, and being creative on the fly was helpful, and being able to work with more artists who were stuck at home as well was helpful. Mm-hmm. And ultimately, I don't ever think I'll end up having a studio for that portion of our business again. Yeah. It was easier to just hire someone in the area and say, hey, go shoot this. These are the assets I need. Here's a specific shot list. Bring it back to me. And you treat it like you would stock footage, except that's exactly what you need.
Yeah, and like digital, there's so many segmentations of skills. Like everything's so fractured of being like what your best skill is. Like, I need a guy that can render this. I need but for this specific thing, I need a guy who knows how to do lighting for a product versus some kind of lifestyle B-roll of people giggling or whatever.
Well, that sort of stuff, I bet, I'm guessing like stock footage probably did pretty well. There's people who make their living just going out and shooting beautiful, landscapes, whatever, and then they put it on whatever website they use and they get a vig on the backside. It's like, that's their job.
Just think about how many people went out and shot people with masks.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That
Oh,
became
yeah.
a thing. Like
Yeah.
all of a sudden you're like, oh crap, we have no stock footage of people
Yeah.
with masks, and everyone just made a business out of that.
Yeah.
Yeah, if you're someone who films or does a lot of photography, if you can get in the habit of just wherever you're doing a shoot or whatever you're doing, take extra whatever of stuff that could be stock footage while you're on the shoot, make that a passive income thing. Just get that in your routine.
How about just mark where that you did it? We would do that shit all the time. We're like, oh, this could be good B-roll for later on. Fucking just put it on a hard drive. You never see that again.
Well,
It's like you got to take a minute.
The habit is to go.
Sure,
like,
yeah. You
why
got to
not-
take a minute and gather that together. And if you're going to put together your little reel or whatever you got, like, do it, because everybody has the intentions to actually, try and do that stuff. But it's not that easy. When you upload your whatever to your computer and you're ready to start editing, you're going to edit what you want to edit, like not your B-roll.
Well, here's a suggestion for anyone who wants to do that: hire someone else.
Yeah. There you go.
Get the footage. To cut some B-roll doesn't take a lot. You can probably get someone, even if you were paying them like $350 or whatever, and you're like, look, here's a bunch of stuff. Cut this for me real quick. I don't have time for it. Get that footage, put it online, and then all it takes is a few sales before you've made that money back, and now it makes money residuals for you forever, or for as long as it's up there and it's useful. And it is a way to make a passive income. And delegation is one of the biggest things that most solopreneurs and freelancers don't do. They think they have to do everything themselves, and really and truly, sometimes it pays better to just say, okay, I know I'm never going to do it, so let me just get, even if it's your buddy, hey man, here's a pizza, a beer, and $100. Just get this done for me.
Yeah. It's hard though with what you're doing, where it's like so creative and edit on something like, the tone can change if a shot's a second longer. It can, all these like little things that if you're going to outsource things, you kind of got to get like a partner who understands what it is, and you kind of get this flow with each other that they know what you want, you know what they're going to do.
Yeah,
it's not
you're
super
gonna,
easy, but
you're probably not going to be able to hit it out of the park the first time, because it's like you're saying, you have to be so specific. Part of that style and tone that's really hard to articulate. Like I used to do anything that was creative-wise, that was, branding, for example. I would work with a lot of graphic designers. I would give them typed out exactly, here's the files, here's the exact resolution, all the text part, and then I'd send them a video explaining what I want, because there's something I'm not going to be able to explain via email. And I go, I don't know how to explain this style and tone, but it's like this and this mashed together. It's a masculine style of a logo, but it's minimalist. I don't want any feminine style that's like handwritten logo style, or you know what I'm saying? Like,
sure, yeah.
There's
You gotta
certain,
be specific,
and
as possible.
one way I found a way to describe it a lot better as far as style and tone, even photography, video, is I would pull, almost like a Pinterest board together, which I did sometimes. Pull those style and tones together, and then I go on like Creative Market or Adobe, stock.adobe or whatever. I look at how they filter stuff, and I go, okay, this is how I'm going to describe this
mood,
stuff.
character, that kind of stuff.
Because it's already done somewhere formally over here.
Right.
I just need to pull that kind of language over to be able to delegate. Because searching for stock footage is its own skill. People don't realize. Like I fell into it after doing it so much, of finding good good images to use, or good stock video for whatever. And you're like, oh, just being able to search for the right shit you need.
That's not just stock footage, too.
Right.
I mean, it's anything on the internet.
Well, I mean, this
Right,
is the thing.
yeah,
A lot of
YouTubing, how to look up a tutorial that actually isn't trying to sell you something.
Right.
A lot of people will sit there and go, oh man, just use some stock footage and stop music. I'm like, you could spend an entire day trying to pick the right song.
Right.
Just the right song. Just
Yeah.
like, what's the right song for this particular thing? It's like that takes a day. Because now, whereas before you had a limited library, now you have such a vast library and so many options and so many sites. So and you can't just stick with one, because not everything fits everyone. So
Right.
or every brand.
But Unsplash is still good for a lot of for people listening that want the free stock stuff to use.
Yeah, the important thing, though, is that there are editors out there, Fiverr, whatever. If you're running your own business and you think, I'm going to make a video for myself, and then you get overwhelmed, I mean, consider just outsourcing your editing and just try and find somebody you like.
Fiverr can be trash, but you can also I've found people that you build a relationship with, and you go off Fiverr eventually and just go, I'm going to pay you via PayPal or Bitcoin or whatever. And just
Don't let Fiverr hear you say that.
Why?
Come at me, Fiverr. What you going to do, Fiverr?
I haven't used them. I haven't had to use them in a while, luckily, but it's, or Upwork, whatever it is, all these things. But you can get that stuff done, but that is a skill of project managing that and those expectations. Right. I always tell everybody, fluff some days in there, whatever you think you're going to go get a Fiverr person, hedge your bets a little bit. You may want to just try to get 2 people to do the same thing in the beginning until you have those relationships.
Yeah, don't count on them knocking it out in 24 hours, that's for sure.
Well, the truth is you can't really count on any new developer or any new creative to knock something out because, look, I consider myself pretty talented at being able to read a brief and say, okay, I know exactly what you mean. And I just recently did something that I went completely left because the brief read one way, and the way I read the brief made me think, okay, you do not want this. So I went and made sure that it was nothing like that. Turns out they didn't mean to go so far left. They were like, well, if this is the center, I want you to go just slight left, just off to the side a little bit, which is fine. I read it, I interpreted it like go left.
Yeah.
So I went hard left, and that's okay. So in those cases, that's where I say that sometimes it's not necessarily that your brief was wrong or the designer was completely off. It's just that the way they read it may have gone off. So that's why you have to do like the explanation. The voice explanation is a really good way of doing it. The look books, the look mood boards and things like that is a really good way of doing it. Because then at least if they're like, look, I showed you Blade Runner and you gave me Mary Poppins. What in those are nowhere in the same ballpark.
We're gonna make that movie.
Yeah.
Yeah, and if you have a confusing thing like that or you're not sure, I would send a video going, this is how I read it. This is the style and tone I'm picking up from what you gave me in the brief. Does that make sense? And just send I try to make like a minute video, just sending it to them. Get it back to me with your thoughts whenever you can.
More designers should do that. They'll save themselves so much time if they actually sat there and said, hey, look, based on your brief, this is what I saw. And even if they recorded it and sent it back.
Yeah.
People don't have time probably to do a Zoom call, but if you did a 30-second, 1 minute
I call it a
piece,
message in a bottle. It's like, here, I'm going to send you update. I had like a UK client. I'd be like, look, we're not going to be on the same time zone when I'm doing your creative stuff. So I just go, here's what I'm looking at here. Given what you gave me, is this on the right path? I want you to send a video back to me. That's what I had him do as a client, and it worked out fairly well in that regard.
Yeah, learning how to record your screen and talk over it. I mean, that takes an email that might take you 30 minutes to write so that you can get the tone right. That you don't.
You can do your
get
own.
It. You can just do it, and it takes 1 minute.
Do a Zoom call with yourself. You can have a free Zoom account. You can just do a Zoom by yourself. It'll record for you. It'll download automatically if you have
Easy
that setting.
workaround. There you go.
And then you can also do the screen share where they can see you, but also you can pull up a browser. That's what I would do because it was the quickest, it was cheap, and the file size wouldn't get too crazy.
Yeah, that's actually really good advice.
If I had to send it, I'm full of it.
Is that what this podcast is about?
It's
and
all the way
dick
to
joke.
Yeah, how's your dick hanging?
You haven't had one dick joke. How's your dick hanging?
We slipped them in.
Well, so do you want my vasectomy? I'm 100% clear. I feel healthy.
Are you though? Do you know for sure?
Oh no! I have to do the sample.
I have to jerk off at my house and then leave and then go. His house is too far away.
Is that where you make the appointment?
Oh, all the people come to my house to jerk, and then they.
That's his side business.
They go to your house and jerk off.
It's a shed.
So part of it is that you have to bring your sample back to confirm.
In 12 weeks after.
And then they'll say yes, you're good, and then. But there's a time period, and his house is too far away.
Yeah, you're supposed to get it to him like within, I forget, 30 minutes, 15 minutes or something of doing it. I was like,
there isn't a truck
stop
stop along the way?
15 minutes.
It's something like it's just out of like
15 minutes is so creepy.
It would be a rush from my place to where
you're all sweaty and red.
Yeah. It's like don't even put your pants up. I got it.
I just did it in the clinic when I had to do a test. Account
right,
test.
but they don't.
They just literally gave me.
That's trying to get pregnant though. That's different.
This
setting.
is the opposite. They don't want none of that in their office.
Nah,
the whole opposite thing.
Did I tell you on the way out? There's a guy worried that he wasn't getting the procedure. He just wanted to find out about it. I was like, on the way out, I was like, you're gonna be fine. Like I'm a pro.
Yeah,
I'm wearing the weird jock strap thing that you have with your dick, and you have to put your dick up the whole time. My balls look like a dead bat for a couple of days, like old fruit. But now they're good. Now they're back.
They're back to soft and round.
Yeah, and moving for whatever, like the ocean tides.
Doing the
You mean,
thing
like
to
on their
juggle.
own? What are you talking about?
You know how
never seen your
fascinating that
balls?
is?
You
You know-
never looked at your balls before?
Moving on their own?
Yeah,
They don't
they'll move-
drop
Well,
them
I mean, if
Go
you're
like this.
talking and you're coughing and whatnot, sure.
No,
but
if you're laying down.
it sounds like they're
and
going
your
out
ball-
and getting liquor at the liquor store on their own. What are you talking about?
Well, they have a mind of their own sometimes, but I'm saying like it looks like the ocean tides. They'll go up and down, recede a little bit.
How long are you staring at your own nuts?
If I'm naked in bed, an hour and a half every day.
Okay,
Is
that's
that a
not
lot?
bad. That's not that bad.
No,
That's okay.
You've never seen your balls move just on their own? They
Sure.
Man,
I'm sure I have.
You got
I
a
don't-
lot to
It's
learn.
kind of like a flower opening. It takes a little time, but you can watch it.
Right, with the
Yeah.
proper amount of sunlight, they move.
No, you should
Mexican
try-
jumping
I had a
bean.
bit about it. I can't remember, but it was just like it was very soothing. It was like watching the waves come in. Because one will go down, one will go up, and then it'll just,
I'll tell you what, my wife was fascinated to find out that balls moved. She was like,
I don't
Wait.
think Eric even knows.
she was like, say, wait, they weren't like that the other day. I'm like, yeah, they drop, they move, they go up and down, they do different things. You know,
I'm saying, the way you guys are talking about it, it's like they've got their own life.
well, they come
Kinda.
on. I mean, have you not
But I
gone
mean,
through
like,
puberty? I
away
mean,
from
think
you.
about it.
Away from you. Like,
Come
they
on,
get
how
out,
many
they
times-
crawl
how
down
many-
your pants leg and they go do their own thing.
How many
But-
times have you talked to your dick and said, "Oh, wait, what are you doing?
Not
dude?
again!
What are you doing? Not now, or whatever."
I
You're like,
yell, I yell at mine like a football coach.
yeah, I mean,
Get it together.
Yeah.
every
Don't
guy
do
has
this.
every guy at some point has talked to their dick like he was a completely different person and said, "Dude, what are you doing?" You know, like pep talks or
Sure.
down talks or whatever.
Don't embarrass me in front of everybody.
Right. In front of all these
I'm sure
guys.
women do that to some body part of their own, but I'm talking about for guys right now.
I don't know.
Yeah. So if you want, you wanted some dick stuff in there.
There you go.
You know, well, we never asked you this when you were a guest. When you were a guest, we never asked you, I don't think, and we're trying to make sure we ask all the guests that are coming back on, what advice would you give your 13-year-old self? I don't think
13-year-old balls.
My 13-year-old self. Shoot. First, let me think about what I was doing at 13. Okay, I was.
the question is purposely made to set you up if you want to go in a silly way or a legit way.
You know, I would say that. Yeah, don't date. There's a couple of women.
Listen, I got a list for you.
There's
Don't
a-
stay away from these
Yeah,
bitches.
there's a couple.
Brazilian women are crazy.
There's a couple women that I would probably be like, yeah, girls. I would be like, don't date her. Okay, it's gonna burn afterwards.
Specific. Okay.
But why was that? Why not date those certain women?
Because
Actually,
they
what
will
could-
burn afterwards.
could-
I tried to
truth-
let them get away
Truth
from
is,
that.
actually, I would have probably said stop dating certain girls and go after these ones because you missed out on opportunities. Because I'll tell you what, at 13, I was that romantic that was always in love in like a week. After I dated a girl, I'm like, I'm in love with you, and then
Right.
I stopped that crap. You know, when I became an adult, and then it took me a really long time, and my wife hated that. But I went completely the opposite.
Now you have to like mine for old stuff you used to do romantically.
Yeah, but there's
You're
like,
I gotta do this.
I got to do this all over again.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
But the point is that there was, it probably kept me out of trouble, but there was like mad opportunity through the high school in early right before I turned 21, 22, because right when I turned 21, 22 is when I finally like had alcohol and everything changed. But yeah, and I just wasted a lot of time on stupid shit that I would have just told myself, what are you doing? I played video games way too much. Swearing that I was going to be like this ultimate game person, and I'm still in animation, which is where my love from animation started from. But honestly, I would have told that bastard like, get the fuck off the video game and go do some life shit, go do more life shit.
Look, I played so many. I would play college football, NCAA college football, make seasons in like Dynasty. And just wasted time, and I'm like, I could have learned Italian. Yeah. I could have like
None of us
picked up a
were going to do
guitar.
any of this shit. What are you guys talking about? That was all we had to do.
I know,
We didn't have
no,
cars.
I knew it was a waste
talk
of time
about.
when I was doing it.
I will-
though,
I
you
will-
That's
know?
fine.
I will
could've
say
read
this,
book-
though.
Also,
like-
just be 13.
I will say about the video game thing at 13.
But
though.
I don't think that's being a 13-year-old. I think that you can do it. It's fine. Everything in moderation, right? So it's like, yeah, play video games, but don't obsess. Like, you gain no value at a certain point. You
Well,
know?
I was never going to be in an orchestra, and I was doing the standing bass. So I would have told myself, man, learn bass guitar. That's cooler. You can do something with that later on in life. You know what I mean? But you're not, unless you're going to be in an orchestra in a 4-piece or 5-piece or whatever, you're not gonna learn that bass. But honestly, one thing I will say this about
That's got to be the
Damien.
worst instrument.
I
to try
was
to be in
gonna
a band. Like, hey guys,
You gonna be a jazz band?
is the church band big
Stand up
enough?
bass to.
Oh, it was my parents.
Guitar
My
bass.
parents, God bless them. They put that. They strapped that thing to the top of the car because we had one of these like little small 4-door, and they'd strap it to the top of the car just to get it places. I'm like,
Yeah, dude, those things are huge.
I couldn't pick up the violin, just throw it in the back seat. No, but I will say this, and I to my 13-year-old self, that you are lucky. Because at least all your friends were actually in person when you were playing video games, and you had to come over to play video games with each other, as opposed to now where I see some 13-year-olds and none of their friends are actually in the room. Like I've seen my nephew get into full-blown arguments and full-blown conversations with people he's never physically seen or met. And I would wish my experience of playing video games onto my nephews.
Pre-COVID, you're saying?
Yeah,
It's a little different. 'cause
Pre-internet connectivity he's talking about.
No,
Like,
but I'm
there
saying
wasn't-
for the kids now, I would give them a pass this year. It's kind of a mulligan year of.
But it hasn't just been this year. We're talking about the past.
Right.
I mean, since
that's
Call of Duty.
I'm just
Right.
qualifying that. Yeah.
It's been a while.
Right.
But I would wish that upon any kid that would be like, look, man, cool, play with all your friends online, but make some in the real world and play with them, next door or something. Play with them like in the same room. Like I would wish that upon anybody.
Yeah. That's sound
pretty good.
advice. Don't fall in love with
store.
hookers and don't play too many video games.
Yep.
Eric can tell you all about the VR side of it.
after
Let's
after
mash
our
up with
shows.
both.
VR. I just got my new Oculus. I haven't tried any of the VR porn yet, so I've just been
Yeah, me
playing the
neither.
games.
That's you should have you for another episode.
Hope you get through a divorce. I'll tell you that much.
You've got a Rhodes Scholar over here with that.
Rhodes Scholar. I ain't hitting the music. How about that?
Okay.
Keep railing on me. Do it. Now let's go.
What about my sweat equity?
So that's your podcast, iTunes, Apple Podcasts,
My
Spotify,
sweat equity.
YouTube,
My sweat equity.
LinkedIn, your mom, Walkman, AOL Buddy List.
What about my sweat equity?